everybody, I'm Sharon Rice, the Makerspace educator at the Rollins Library, and just like all the rest of you guys, I've been stuck at home here for the last couple of weeks, and I've been trying to think of ways to continue making and exploring chemistry with ingredients and equipment that I can find in my own kitchen at home. And so I did a little bit of research and I came up with being able to create elephant toothpaste from home, and I bet that you guys have the same ingredients at your house as I do, and you can do this too. So I'll just run through the ingredients real quick. First, you need some regular old 3% hydrogen peroxide. You need some dry instant yeast. You need some warm water, which is in this cup here, and you need some dish soap. It really does also help to have a tall bottle with a narrow top. The narrow top is really important, and we'll get to that in a minute. A measuring ingredient and a little bowl to activate your yeast in. So the first thing that we're going to do is activate our yeast. Most yeast, when you get it from the store, is freeze-dried, and so we have to wake it up. Yeast is a little microorganism. It's not quite a plant, it's not quite a fungus, and its main goal in life is to eat carbohydrates and sugars and make gas as a waste product. And it's really important to remember that yeast makes gas as a waste product as we continue on with this experiment. So the way that we wake up our yeast is we just put 2 tablespoons in our little bowl, and then we're going to add some warm water to it. And that's really it. That'll wake the yeast up enough to make this experiment happen. And we'll give it a little stir just to make sure that it's all in there and not too clumpy. And we can put the measuring spoon in the cup away. Now, as we're waking up the yeast, we're going to add the other ingredients to our experiment in our tall jar with the narrow top. In there, we're going to put 1 cup of hydrogen peroxide. And it's important to note that this experiment can be done at your house or at your school with hydrogen peroxide that's a little bit higher concentration. So this is a 3% hydrogen peroxide solution, but you can get hydrogen peroxide solution that is 12% or 6% from your local beauty supply store. It's the stuff that they use to develop hair dye, but I don't have any at home, and 3% will work. The reaction will just not be quite as spectacular. So we're going to just go ahead and put that in our tall container. Right there. And then to that, we're also going to add some dish soap. And this is just your plain old boring dish soap that you can get anywhere. And we'll put some pretty hefty amount of dish soap in there. At this point, if you happen to have it at home, you can add some food coloring to this, which would make the reaction a really cool, fun color. But if you don't have any at home, that is also understandable, and I don't. So this is just going to be a plain white reaction here. So we'll put our narrow lid on that. And if you look at the yeast here, when it first went in, it was really super grainy, but now it's starting to kind of bubble and be clumpy, and that's because the yeast is waking up. So we're going to go ahead and give that one more quick stir, and then I'm going to put it back into this container that we put the hydrogen peroxide in, just because I need to be able to pour it into the very narrow opening of my bottle here without spilling too much of it. And I think that if I were to pour it in just from this plastic container, I would spill it all over the place. So I'll give that a stir so that there's not any lumpies. And again, that's just in warm water. And there it is in my container. All right, so before I put this in here, I'm going to talk about the reaction that's going to happen. And so the reaction that's going to happen is something called an exothermic reaction. So once I add this yeast to this container, it's going to create a ton of gas, and it's going to create that gas really, really fast. And when it creates that gas super duper fast, it's actually breaking apart molecules, and it's creating friction, and it's creating heat. So it's going to be warm. Exothermic means producing heat. This yeast in here is our catalyst. A catalyst is the ingredient that you add to an experiment to start it. So we're gonna go ahead and add it here. Careful, careful, careful. And see what happens. Ready? And there it goes. So normally what would happen is if you added yeast to hydrogen peroxide, you would get a chemical reaction that would create gas. It basically is the hydrogen gas is being released as the yeast and the hydrogen peroxide combine and the hydrogen and oxygen molecules kind of break apart, but we wouldn't be able to see it. However, in this particular guy, we put the dish soap, and the dish soap has a molecular structure that will trap that gas and turn it into a million billion tiny little bubbles. So what happened here is we've basically created a cool foaming fountain of really neat, warm, this is warm to the touch, foam. And the cool thing about this foam is it is super soft and silky. You can play with it for a nice long time. It feels nice and warm on your hands. It smells like dish soap. There's no more hydrogen peroxide left because the yeast broke apart those molecules and created a ton of gas. And this foam will stick around and be playable with for a long, long time. And if you look here, it's still coming out. As long as there's yeast and hydrogen peroxide molecules that are still in this bubble, it will keep foaming and foaming and foaming and foaming. Now you might have seen this at school where the foam kind of shoots out of the top of it and it looks really neat and that foam is super solid. That particular elephant toothpaste is made with super high concentrated hydrogen peroxide and yeast, and so actually you can't really touch it when it first comes out of the beaker because it's too hot and there's a little bit of a chemical left in it. But this particular foam is safe to play with as soon as it comes out of your container. So you can play with it with cars or dies or blocks or just your hands or a scoop or a cup, and it's a super lot of fun. And I think that you probably have all of these ingredients in your house. So that is elephant toothpaste. That's our experiment for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for my husband Jonathan for filming this for us. And until I get to see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep making. Bye. Have a great day.